Well, a very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Herman Sokinyi, and I'm always glad to bring you up to date with comprehensive analysis of all that is taking place in this country and across our borders. We keep it simple here with Wakili Willis Otieno. Wakili, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm good as well. The court has given the president another blow after declaring the Finance Act 2023 unconstitutional again. I wonder what this actually means for our country here, because it seems like the legal problems that the president has are not ending anytime soon. After the collapse of the Finance Bill 2024, the Finance Act 2023 has now been rendered unconstitutional. I wonder what this actually means for this country and its economic progression moving forward.
The first point you must note is that, as at now, since he was made president, William Ruto has not come up with a Finance Act that is legal. So he has not come up with any revenue-raising measures since he became president that meets the test of our constitution. He is unable to come up with the most basic document of a government, money-raising measures, and to come up with a budget that he can finance. In the Finance Bill of 2024-2025, the one that was rejected through the protests, he was hoping to raise an additional 350 billion. The one of 2023-2024, which was in the Court of Appeal, had hoped to raise an additional 250 billion. On aggregate, we are seeing a finance bills or acts that were hoping to raise 700 billion based on his budgets. So what William Ruto needs to do at this point, he must take cognizance that is back to Uhuru Kenyatta's finance bill of 2022. So the first thing he must do is to repeal the Appropriations Act. Repeal it, do away with it, and come up with a realistic budget. A new one, not a supplementary budget. A supplementary budget should only be adding additions, not taking away. In this case, repeal. Then you do a new Appropriations Act. That budgets or plans for the monies that are collectible as per the 2022 Act. And the simplest example I give, if you are earning a salary of this much, 50,000, then you hope that next month you are going to get a salary increase of 80,000. Then you go to your house and you say, now I'm adjusting I'm moving where I live, moving to a 3-bedroom house. I'm now I'm buying a fridge. I'm now changing my diet. I'm now changing my modes of transport. Because you're expecting an increase. Then the person, your employer tells you, no, that proposed increase has been rescinded. The first thing you do is you go back to your reality. Abandon that move to a new house. Drop that fridge. Go back to Futsubishi. Don't continue using Ubers. So you go back to adjust your life to the money you had before. So William Ruto should adjust his lifestyle to back to 2022. His budget should be back to 2022. That's the first step. One thing that we must also appreciate here, as at now, as I'm sitting here, the position of the law is that the price of fuel should be less by 8% VAT. Because in the 2023 Finance Bill Act, they increased VAT on fuel to 16%.
Exactly.
Take it back to 8% VAT. So pump stations which are collecting at 16% today are stealing. They are robbers. Employees whose salaries had moved to the new bandwidths of 32, based on how much you're earning, 32%, some had moved to 35%. They all revert to 30%. Employers who are deducting more than 30% on pay as you earn are robbers. Punters, those who do sport betting, The excise duty was increased to 12% from 7.5. It goes back to 7.5 on your stake. Betting companies that are still charging 12% are robbers. The system should reflect 7.5.
Okay.
E-teams was brought by the Finance Act of 2023. It's been declared unconstitutional. KRA insisting on e-teams being a legal requirement are forcing an illegality on you.
Okay.
And the list goes on and on. The excise duty on alcoholic drinks that was increased. Any bar or alcohol manufacturer still charging it is a robber. Because there is no law that allows. So everybody must adjust back.
What of the contentious housing levy? Of course, are you satisfied with
The
the
housing,
manner in which
no. The housing levy, there is the housing levy which was reduced by the Finance Act.
Yeah.
That one also is refundable.
Okay.
Must be refunded back to the people. The affordable housing levy, which was reduced by the Affordable Housing Act, was not the subject of the court petition.
Okay.
So whatever they collected under that new act, that one they can retain. But we have a court case going on over it.
On the same.
But what was collected under the Finance Act, and that was a collections for almost 8 months, that one is refundable. And KRA and anybody who is still holding that money is a robber. So what we need to focus on now is the people of Kenya in their numbers needs to start bombarding KRA with refunds. Our tax accounts should be reading credit balances. They should credit our accounts. So that next month when I'm paying tax, I pay less this amount, which is credit to my account. Because I had paid tax in advance.
Okay. What does this mean now for our economic progress as a country? Because you are talking about the effect of the entire Finance Act 2023. These are revenue-raising measures that have been here and have been working with us. Now, if you look at what the government projected to raise in 2023 through that particular act, and then you compare what they projected to raise again, the additional amount of revenue that they expected to raise again in 2024, with all these now declared unconstitutional, null and void, don't you then think that this may actually eventually affect our economy as a country here?
Of course, that's why I've told you. The first step is for William Ruto to go back to his Appropriations Act.
Okay.
That's the budget.
So we can't work with the budget as it is.
You cannot. What you budgeted for and what you are going to earn are different. So you change your budget to reflect your earning capacity.
Okay.
So you must see serious cuts. Adjust everything so that you deal with your reality. Your reality is you are only going to earn 1.8 trillion.
Okay.
Why are you maintaining a budget of 3.9 trillion? Are you mad? Are you mad? You start by saying, my collectibles, what I am expecting to earn based on the law as existed then, which is the law now available today, is 1.9 trillion. My budget, which I had made this year, was 3.9 trillion. Over 1 trillion more. So face your reality.
Okay.
So you go and do away with that budget you had made. Then you go and come up with a new budget that is aware of your present reality. Your reality is that one was too ambitious. There is no avenue to collect that kind of money. 1 trillion shillings is not little money. It's a lot of money. Hell, a lot of money. So you cannot live as if you are going to earn. You can't live like a billionaire when you are a pauper. You must adjust your life to that which you are earning.
Okay. Talk to me about the reactions from a section of members of parliament, especially from the ruling Kenya Kwanza regime. I saw Kimani Ichung'wah say that he does not even understand the reasoning behind the learned judges here who decided to declare this particular act unconstitutional. And he got to a point where he said that legislations can as well be made by the judiciary.
You see, those are crybabies. Kimani Ichung'wah is a crybaby. He can cry and wail as much as he wants, but who cares about him? We are a country governed by a constitution. If Parliament decides to go and ignore the constitution and the views of the people, then why is he crying? Who is he crying to? The point is, the people in Kenya have always said, are supreme. The people went to that Parliament, gave their views. 90% of the views rejected the bill. Over 90% rejected it then. Ichung'wah and his group ignored the people. They forced through that in Parliament. Part of the rejection was they are saying, this budget, what you are raising here in the bill, does not meet the constitutional threshold. Even your appropriation doesn't have the estimates of revenue and expenditure. They ignore those representations. They go to court, the courts agree with them. So, when the court simply applies the constitutional threshold test to assess a bill, what we all know, even him, he knows it, just that for political expedience, he's refusing to accept it. We all know what they did. Parliament cannot usurp the sovereignty of the people. And one of the key elements out of that judgment was the question of public participation. When the people speak and they tell you in those almost near unanimous numbers a position, you owe them at least an explanation why you've ignored them. So that you can test whether your reason for ignoring them is reasonable at all. Because you cannot say that all those 90% plus people who appeared before Parliament were all mad. Then it means the members of Parliament are the ones who are mad to ignore such overwhelming unanimous decisions and representations made to them by the people. And that's what the court was saying. I mean, there must be a problem somewhere. And the problem is not the people. The problem is you parliamentarians.
And that actually brings me to my bigger question here. Where do we get it wrong as a country? Because with the declaration of this particular act unconstitutional and the fall of the 2024 one, that takes us 2 years back. And I believe the country cannot actually survive the implications of that as well.
What do you mean the country cannot survive?
Where do we get
Who told you the country cannot survive? Who told you? The country can survive.
You see the amount of money that has been raised, especially as a result of the Finance Act 2023, and the amount of money that was supposed to be raised as a result of maybe if at all the 2024 one passed, all this money, when we decide to lose it all of a sudden with our debt crisis and all that, we are getting back
we are not,
to
we are
that
not,
kind of
we are not losing it. That I've said, you start by going back to make a budget that reflects your reality.
Okay.
Because the money is not lost. In fact, they were coming to rob us.
But it means if they were collecting more, then they are now going to collect less.
Yes. And so even their spending must be less.
So
and that's why I've said you start by repeal your Appropriations Act. Your budget. Do away with the budget you made. Come up with a budget that reflects your reality. Your reality of how much you are able to collect from your people, not the 3.9 trillion you're talking about. Your reality is 1.8 trillion. Do a budget that reflects that reality. So there is no problem. It simply means if you are now forcing somebody to pay 30%, 35% pay as you earn, let them pay 30%. If you are forcing someone to pay 16% VAT on fuel, let it be 8% VAT on fuel. People are still paying tax.
When the government of the day keeps on losing its legal battles, don't you see there's a problem somewhere?
It shows lack of legitimacy. I started this by saying William Ruto to date has not been able to come up with a finance bill that addresses the needs of the people of Kenya.
And that is why I'm asking, why is he getting it wrong?
Because he lacks legitimacy. He is incapable of governing the people of Kenya effectively and efficiently. You cannot design a basic document as a finance bill, a revenue raising measure. Your budgets are illegal, null and void. Then where is your legitimacy coming from? Because when you are elected as president, it's about governing resources. You are showing incapability of coming up with measures to raise revenue, appropriations acts that complies with their constitution. That, to me, is the problem.
Okay.
It shows a total lack of capacity and incompetence by Kenya Kwanza. And that is why Kenya Kwanza is now becoming Kenya Kwisha. The people of Kenya are done with them. And we need to chart a new path for this nation. One that is responsive to the wishes and the needs of the people.
Okay, right now all our eyes are on the office of the Attorney General to see what steps they will actually make in terms of trying to save the government out of this particular hole that they've found themselves in. If at all you found yourself in that office, what advice would you give the government all the day? Because at the end of the day, we need a solution.
I will simply tell them, follow the law. The Constitution is very clear. Just follow the Constitution. Okay. If they cannot take that advice, there is no new advice. And all lawyers you see in town, even many Kenyans, can read that Constitution and understand it. Okay. It is very clear. The language is very plain. Anybody can read and understand it. Just follow the law. Forget mischief. If you cannot follow the law, you'll find yourself in these scenarios.
So the president should just follow.
Just follow the law.
The law. This is what you're saying.
And at this point, the law is we are exercising Article 1 sovereignty. Give the people back their land.
Okay. So that is the law that you want to be followed.
Ultimately, Article 1 must be respected.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here and our eyes are still set on the kind of steps that the government will take, most definitely after the Court of Appeal declared the Finance Act 2023 unconstitutional. We want to see the kind of steps that they will take in order to make sure that we move forward as a country without plunging into some sort of an economic dungeon here in. You can weigh in on this conversation and tell us what you actually think and what your thoughts are. From my end, I want to wish you a good day. Thank you for watching. My name is Evans Okini.